Stand by for moving story. So you think about these little things, and I'm probably one of the worst offenders on this of looking at something and go, well, this is kind of nice, and I'm glad we're doing this, but does it really? I mean, does this really make a difference? And I mean, I will tell you today, you will, when you're done listening to this today, you will be absolutely sure that the little things matter and they matter big. and so. Think about, you may have done this. Maybe your kids have been in church, been in Bible school or something like that.
We do it with our Sunday school.
Sunday school, yeah. And you've heard these things, the Samaritan's Purse shoeboxes. And Samaritan's Purse, and you get your kids together and you put together little shoeboxes. And a lot of times it's done around Christmas. And you just put in items for people in parts of the world that may not have just the basic things, which you're going to hear about here in a minute, like socks. And crayons, and Jordy's here, and you heard him a minute ago, a friend of mine, because this involves his family, this incredible story. So what else would it be in there? Pencils,
all kinds of all kinds of little trinkets, slinkies,
fun,
fun little things for kids to play with and have.
Now your daughters, when y'all did this, they were little.
They were very little.
Jordy has 5 children. And of course, the girls now are, one's still in college, the other 2 have graduated, and hey, we're married and we're rolling, and so this is when they were how old?
They were probably 5, 3, and 1.
Oh, wow!
So they're very young.
So 5, 3, and 1, and they're how old are they now? I'm sorry to do this to you. Do you know how old your daughters are?
I'm going to say 25, 23, and 19, 20.
20. Okay, there you go. And, of course, since then you've added two sons, too. But this was when you just had the 3 girls.
That is correct.
And they're little tinies.
That is correct.
So they put together the Samaritan's Purse shoebox.
Yeah, and there's a picture of them. And,
there they
are. Wow. And they're beautiful women now. But my wife and my 3 daughters, my wife was a great Christian leader in our home. And so she would take them, and they would go shop and do these things and put them in these boxes. And I remember them praying over the boxes and talking about where they might go all over the world, but you have no idea. And you just know that you're praying for somebody to receive the box, and you're praying that God would have an impact and use it for his benefit and his purpose. And then you take the box and you turn it in, and they group them together, and they send these out by the hundreds.
Now, think about this. Now let me introduce to you Agresa Sahachu from Kosovo. She's Albanian. She is now a grown woman and now lives in our country, and which we're so thankful for God's grace to bring her family to Orlando. So you don't know where the box goes, but it actually ended up going to the woman that now sits here with us when you were a little girl.
Yes, I was
so
just
so
11.
Tell us how you got the box.
I grew up in Kosovo, and during the war, we were refugees in Albania, and once we came back, I had just turned 11, and we went back to school. Our schools were just rebuilding, and right around Christmas time, this was 1999, and I believe the box traveled about a year until it got to me, which is amazing. And we lined up in school, and Santa was there with the organization, and they handed us each, different boxes, and I got the most special one. It was wrapped in red, wrapping paper, and I kept it wrapped until I got home so I can open it with my sister, and it was a blessing.
So when you opened up the box, tell the guys and all the people listening all over the world, what item was in there that you had been praying about and really needed at the time?
Yeah. Every time I tell the story, there's tears in my eyes when I just imagine opening that box. It was a pair of socks. They were white socks, beautiful white socks, and they had lace on top. And at that time, my parents had so many other things to worry about that they didn't really have socks for me. And they knew that I needed those socks. And that was the only thing that I grabbed out of that box, and I put them on, and I wore them every single day.
Wow. So the impact.
And I feel guilty that I only put one pair of socks on.
But you know what?
Double up on the socks.
Yeah. One pair of socks meant the world. And there's 2 points we're making.
Yeah.
One is, this was something that a family was doing together that lives in a country this country on our very worst day, we are blessed beyond comprehension.
Absolutely.
There's nobody listening to us right now that is worried about whether they can get a pair of socks.
Yeah.
But for you, it might as well have been somebody saying, if I don't eat today, I may not make it. It meant that much to you. And this was something that was not even a sacrifice for this country to send a box with socks in it.
Yeah.
It was something a family was doing, saying, let's try to help people that this might be a big deal to. And then you're, first of all, living proof that it is a big deal,
Absolutely.
a really big deal.
It just brought me hope, and I knew that someone was thinking about me. Someone was thinking about Agresa, and this box was meant for me. And as we dig in, there was a picture with their names and beautiful kids. And we struggled to understand what the names meant and what the word God bless you meant, because we didn't know at the time. And years later, we had the opportunity to move here, and we brought the picture with us. And it took me a while, but I found them.
So
So you tracked them down
Yeah.
from that picture.
Yeah, talk about that, because that's a great story. So first of all, how did you get to the country? I heard you talk about this the other night. It was just a random visa that got you guys. You were drawn out to be able to come to this country.
Yeah, so the immigrant visa, it's for us, it's called the green card lottery. So my family applied, and we were picked as a family of 5. I have 2 sisters and my parents, and we decided to come to Florida, Orlando. We had a family member there to help us out, kind of learn the language and move and things
Well, you
like
speak English very well,
Your English-
by the
Thank
way.
you.
Better than we do.
Your English is very good.
Thank you.
Of course, it may be that you're just in a league that's not very hard to win.
Yeah.
But English here, but when you got here, you started instantly saying, "I want to find this family."
Absolutely. And my mom too, and my parents, and we tried, but we didn't have all the resources. And every time, as years went by, I moved here 2007, 2006. I couldn't find them online. There was nothing that matched. There was a lot of names that matched, but not the location. And I just was afraid to reach out to random people because I didn't know they would believe me.
And it was that picture that was up
Yeah.
that she had the names of. So she had Heather, Holly, Hope, Henson, which were our kids. So we were intentionally keeping our kids' names off the internet.
Yeah, right.
You know,
'Cause
and
you-
so
you
all
look-
she had was the 3 girls' names and Birmingham, Alabama. That's all she had to find us off of.
All right. When we come back, you're not going to believe how, again, what the Henson family also felt called to do that leads to Agresa eventually being able to find them.
It's amazing.
It's really an incredible story. So, first of all, it's a little shoebox. It goes to a little girl in war-torn Kosovo who comes back after all the destruction of her community and her school, needing a pair of socks, gives her hope to persevere. Her family finds their way to the United States of America, and she starts the journey to find these little girls in the Henson family. And how this all works out to her sitting here today is amazing.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.
Time in Orlando, but it started in Kosovo when she's Albanian, when she received a shoebox from Samaritan's Purse. And you've heard us talk to our friend Jordy Henson a lot here on the program. Jordy and I have been going to church together, teaching Bible studies together for a long, long time, and are really, really close friends. And when his daughters were just little bitty things, 5, 3, and 1, they put together a Samaritan's Purse shoebox and just turned it in. Didn't know where it was going. It ended up going to Agresa, who was 11 at the time, and it offered something that she needed desperately in war-torn Kosovo at the time, and that was a pair of socks.
Yeah.
It gave her hope. She was so thankful for what that little shoebox meant to her life. She started looking for the Henson family when her family came to America, and that was in 2006.
6.
And the journey began, but like Mr. Henson, Jordy just said, well, I didn't want my girls' information on the internet because they're little girls and they're my daughters, and I don't want it out there. So when you begin to search on the internet for these names, there was nothing there.
There was no connection.
Right.
I would find similar last names, similar first names, but there was no connection to Alabama or anything, and I just didn't reach out for a while.
So
and then Dawson.
and then which Dawson's been on the show.
Yes. Yes.
Jordy and Kim have said let's put a hiatus on that for a while of giving Dawson a mic. But
A
what
great day here on the show for us.
so another incredible story. You guys felt like that God called you to come into the life of this young man, and he's been a blessing to you guys, and you certainly have been a blessing to him. The other night when I walked in and he pointed to you and say, "My dad is," and referred to you as Dad. It's just it just moves me every time. And this is a foster situation that you guys took Dawson into your family and started, working with him and helping him, and he's been a blessing for you guys. And that relationship continues to bond, and it's just he's part of the family now. And so the story about you guys taking Dawson and saying, hey, we want you to be part of our family, that was a story that got on the internet. So that actually led to you finding them.
Yeah, last year, I came back from work and I was just needed a pick me up, needed hope, and I saw the picture in my dresser, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna look for them. Maybe today's my lucky day. And I put up all their names, last name, Birmingham, Alabama, and he came up. It was the first thing, and it was the article from the church. And I read the article, and I'm like, this has to be them. Like, it has to be them. They sound like wonderful people. They changed my life, so I'm sure they're changing other people's lives, and it has to be them. So I called the church, and it was a weekend, and I left a voicemail, very long voicemail, and I was so nervous. I'm walking around the house, and I apologized multiple times that if it wasn't them, I'm so sorry. And the next day, I got a phone call.
Of course, Kim called me, and she said, hey, the church just called, and this lady from Kosovo has gotten our name and wants us to call her. And I told Kim, I said, yeah, right. I just got an email from somebody from India that wants to leave me $5 million.
Right. If you just send them a down deposit.
So I
on
said,
it.
I'll meet you at home at lunch, and we'll look into this.
Right.
And so we met at home, and I was in my doubtful mode, and I began to dial, and Kim said, what are you doing? I said, I'm calling this person from Kosovo that now lives in Orlando. And it took about 20 seconds to hear her voice. And I was like, God, this is real.
Wow.
This really has happened. And the connection, it's like she's been part of our family forever. I mean, it's incredible.
So, Agresa, what was that moment when you realized I have finally found the little girls that sent me the box?
As soon as I saw the phone and I saw where it was coming from, there was just something in me that I knew, and I started crying. As soon as I picked up the phone, and it was unbelievable. I'm like, these people changed my life. And ever since, it felt like I've been part of the family.
And seeing you guys the other night, you've only been here, a couple of days?
Yeah, 2 days.
And it seems like y'all have been family for forever.
Absolutely.
And you've only known each other for, a few days?
A few days. Yeah. I can't describe it. It's family.
But in the eyes of God, the Father, who ordained this
right,
and knew this, he's not surprised.
No.
And we are family.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're getting closer.
Right. And to use the next step of obedience to, bring Dawson into your world and him coming into your world and you coming into his, the same thing y'all had done that seemed like not near the biggest step to send a shoebox off. So she finds you guys by another act of obedience to try to impact another young person. That was what was the catalyst for this young person you had already impacted to now find you. Look at all that coming together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really incredible. So why did it mean so much, Grace? So, some people are listening, hey, you got a shoebox. Why was this so important that you find them?
I wanted to thank them because they didn't just change my life then. They changed my family's life. And I want to do good in the world because of you. I didn't know any better. Like, now I'm like, I want to raise a family just like you. I want to do this. I packed those shoe boxes because I know what it means. And I know that box meant for me, those socks. God, you knew that I needed socks, and it made it to me. It changed my life, the way I look at the world, perspective, people, and just everything.
This is so important today.
Gosh, I'm going to look at socks. So different. I mean, so different.
Well, I want you to think about this because, Bubba, I know you've been fascinated with it. I have. You mentioned it the other night, the butterfly effect.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you think
it's incredible.
It's such a tiny thing. I mean, honestly, knowing you guys and knowing how involved you've been, and how, we grew up as people who were in the church. And these are things that people who are in the church, hey, we got the shoebox drive going.
Yes,
We're going to participate.
We do it every year.
We're going to be part of that, and this would be good to do with the girls. It'll be a fun thing we can all do. And you know what I want to do? Don't take that stuff lightly anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, don't take it lightly.
And put 2 pair of socks in, Jordy, for crying out loud.
And pray over it.
Yes.
There you go. You guys did.
Knowing that God works and he hears our prayers. And I have no doubt that when my little girls and my wife, who were faithful in doing what God told them in that small moment, and prayed over that, and didn't know that they were praying for our sister and daughter, Agresa, that God used that and put that package the exact way He wanted it to reach her when she needed it most.
Yeah, because you're looking at your country right then and coming back to all the desolation, and you start thinking there's no hope in the world.
No.
And then that one little box said, so these people would do this, so I guess that the world isn't all bad.
There's people out there who care.
Wow.
And how God can use something as bad as war and as how bad that war was to bring forth so many good things out of it.
Well, and I told her the other day, Satan is the enemy. And in the midst of all that tragedy and all that war-torn chaos, what I feel like God let us do in a little box is send some light
That's it.
and some hope. And that's what the story of Jesus is.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Is the bottom line.
But the reason why the hope illuminated and was so easy to see is because it was painted on a background of darkness.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
A little light,
Absolutely.
a little light is very
Absolutely.
bright in the dark.
Boy,
you know?
Absolutely.
Well, Gressa, what an incredible story, Jordy.
How's
Kim.
your family doing?
They're doing great. We love it here. We're so grateful to be in this country. It's
Yeah.
been amazing.
How about Walmart?
Don't feel the same about it anymore.
She said her first time at Walmart, she thut this is a city.
Rick,
it
I
was-
kind of want to hear more
All right,
about
you
that.
can stay, right?
Yeah.
I know you got to hang on. We'll ask you because she's got a great Walmart story. When you're talking about Americans, because I'm not sure we fully understand sacrifice, but just any effort on our part makes a huge difference. In Compassion International, there are 60,000 children all over the world that are just trying to have the basic things of life: nutrition, clean water, clothing, socks, and for about $1 a day, you can sponsor a child. And of course, at home, my wife and I, when we were looking at this teaming up with Compassion International, I never want to ask you to do something that we're not willing to do. And we spent a lot of times working in Nicaragua. And there's a little boy there that we're sponsoring through Compassion International whose name is Job. And of course, the book of Job it means so much to our family, and we talking about where God is through pain and suffering, and so anyway. Plus, we had the ties to Nicaragua. Then we find out the pastor, who is the pastor there for the local church, is the pastor we've worked with in Nicaragua. We didn't even know that when we sponsored Job. And so, if you would like to be part, we want to have 250 children sponsored directly to the show. And you just heard a story of how little things matter, and they matter big. And, of course, certainly it's been a blessing for the child, but I'm going to tell you what, it's going to bless your family. That's the part you're missing, is that you think, well, I need to do it for this kid, and that is a great motivation. I like that, but also it's going to be used to change your family as well. And so if you want to sponsor a child, sadly, we have plenty available. You can go to any part of the world you may feel called to, or maybe there's a certain birthday you've been called to, or something like that. A lot of times those things, you look for God moving on that. Go to compassion.com/Bubba. That way it'll be on the list of those children that are sponsored tied to the show. Or you can go to rickandbubba.com, and there's a sponsor button, and you'll see compassion.com/Bubba there too. Thanks to all of you that have already sponsored children. Just got an email day before yesterday. But those of you who haven't, pray about this and then act. We sure do need you. All right, so Gressa's here. And we were talking to, if you just joined us, you need to go back to the podcast and hear this incredible story. Agresa Sahachu now lives in America, but at the time was in Kosovo. That's her home country, war-torn at the time. The war was going on with the Albanians and the Serbs, and she was caught in the middle of that as an 11-year-old little girl, received a Samaritan's Purse shoebox from the Henson family, which we know here on the show. We just talked to Jordy, the dad. And the three daughters, when they were 5, 3, and 1, got with Mama, Kim, and sent this shoebox. And of all the places it could have landed, it landed to where the Agresa there in Kosovo. She went home, opened it with her sister. She needed socks. There was a pair of socks in it and some other items. One of the things I hearing you talk the other night, we send crayons sometimes. Sometimes you don't even know if you're a child that's in poverty, you may not even never seen a crayon. Did you know what those were at the time? The other items that were in there?
No, I think that was the first time I saw them.
The first time you seen a crayon. So anyway, but you said that gave you hope at a time of your life where you thought all hope was lost.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that little glimmer, that little spark of hope changed your whole life. And then when you started trying to find the family to say thank you so many years later, we actually have a recording of your voicemail when you were calling the church to see or calling. Is this the church call or to the Henson's house call?
The church.
The church
I call
call.
the church.
Yeah. So here is the moment you think you have finally found this family. You hope you have. So here's a little bit of that.
Hi there. My name is Agresa Sahachu. I have a strange request, and I apologize. About 18 years ago, I was born in Kosovo from Yugoslavia, and I received an Operations Christmas Child box with a beautiful picture of three girls, Holly, Heather, and Hope. And I live in the United States now, and I've been searching for your family, and I found all three of your names on this website for this church. And I was wondering if there's a way to connect with the Henson family. I just wanted to say thank you and share the picture that I still have with me. Again, I'm an adult now. I live in Florida. My name is Agresa, and I've been searching for the Henson family for a while. I just wanted to share my gratitude. I apologize if this is the wrong department to call, but I will leave my phone number just in case it is. It's
all right, we won't do your phone number. You don't want to hear everybody calling you. But that's I see you still get emotional when you listen to that because it's been you look for them for how many years?
11.
Yeah, 11 years, and then
Since
found
we
them.
moved here. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you came to America, obviously when you got here, you thought now's a chance to find this family. But I cannot imagine the shock of culture coming from a country about the size of the city where we are now.
Well, let me ask you this: even before you came, what did you think America was going to be like, or what had you been told, or what was your impressions of America?
Just based on some of the movies that we saw, and even the movies most of them were not in English. They were translated either Albanian or Serbian, so the voice actors were different.
So, like,
I
what
had no
movies were
idea.
there? What did you see?
Mostly Disney movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
You came to Orlando after seeing Disney movies.
Yeah, right. Snow
She
White.
came to see the giant mouse.
Yeah. But we learned a lot of history about United States, but really never imagined coming here. I really didn't have a vision. We just knew that it was very large, and we try to name the states and try to pronounce them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no idea.
Why Orlando? Because of Disney?
We had a family member that lived there.
That's right, you said that,
and we just needed somebody to guide us, and that's why we picked Orlando.
So tell the guys the story. You worked so hard to learn English, and your English is very good.
Thank you.
I mean, amazingly well.
And you wanted to learn English because you were going to a place where English.
Yeah.
And so your first time to go into a Walmart, tell the guys what happened.
So we had just arrived at United States, Orlando, Florida. We lived in Kissimmee, a really small town.
Yeah,
and
we know.
We've been there.
Oh, perfect.
We have, yeah.
2 days later, a family friend was like, you know what, we're going to take you shopping. We're going to go to Walmart. It's an amazing grocery store. Now, back home, we have really mom and pop markets, so very small. And we walked in, and I was like, oh, my God, there's everything in here. This is the best day ever. It was
There's
amazing.
socks galore.
Just everything. Like, you can get tires, and you can get chicken all in one place. It was just absolutely amazing. We were amazed. I think that was the best memory of United States.
And now
until
tell them
now.
about what happened with the language, though.
In
'Cause you're-
Florida.
'cause
it's
you're in Florida,
Yeah,
yeah.
very diverse, and we call it the melting pot. Everybody was speaking Spanish, especially in that area. And I turned over to my mom in Albanian, and I'm like, why are people from Spain working here? This is so strange. I'm trying to learn English, but I can't practice because everybody is talking Spanish to us. And then
We know how you
learned-
feel.
Yeah. And then I learned. I'm like, okay, this is just a diverse place.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So now that you have been in the country a long, have you ever been? You've never been to Alabama before, have you?
No, first time.
First time.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Alabama?
I love it. The first thing I said, I was like, Miss Kim, people are so nice.
Yeah.
Everybody's smiling at me. Everybody's hugging me. Just hospitality has been amazing. I love it. I love the hills.
If you have kind of like issues with people hugging on you and getting in your space, this is not the state. Yeah. So you like and a lot of people, because the Hensons, I know Jordy just talked about, he's from South Alabama. So a lot of people who only know the southern part of Alabama think the whole state is flat like that. But you're in the part where we have the hills.
Yeah,
And,
I love it. Florida and Orlando is just so flat.
yeah, it is. So what's your plans? How long will you be here?
I'll be leaving today, this afternoon, going back, and then we have plans of meeting in Orlando, and just continue keeping in touch.
Yeah,
So
no,
are you permanent now? What is your status? How does all that work?
Yeah, so with the immigrant visa, once you arrive, you get your green card and all the paperwork right away, and then you have to be in the country for at least 5 years without traveling, and of course being a good citizen and working and paying taxes and everything. And then after 5 years, you can apply for being a citizen, and that's what we did. So all our family, we're all U.S. citizens.
So you applied and it all worked out.
Yeah.
So you, but
A successful immigration story.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Because we're having that debate now.
Yeah.
but you're living proof that we do have legal immigration plans that actually are quite smooth, and others that need work. We need to do better with some of it. But this particular program seemed like it worked pretty smooth for you guys.
It did, and it came from United States, so it's a
Sure.
program that they want to bring, families. And I think once they make the decision, they pick the right families to come because they know, like my dad had his own business, so we all work here, and we give back to the community here, and we call this home. So it was a smooth process. Very proud to be here.
If you did not announce you were from another country, we would have no idea. I mean, your English is so well. I mean, I can't even detect much of an accent. Can you?
Yeah, I mean, you have a little bit of an
little bit.
accent, but so do we.
Yeah,
Yeah.
quite different.
Yeah, you were talking about movies and I've told Bubba this before. Even though it's English speaking, when our family went to Ireland, they heard the way we talk and they thought we were cowboys because all they had seen were westerns.
Yeah.
And so they kept asking us where we were from, and they asked, basically what we figured out, they were asking if we were cowboys.
Actually, that brings back a story. Before, when we knew that we were coming to Florida, I think my dad, some of the movies that he watched was Western, and he's like, I can't wait to buy a truck, wear a straw hat, and just go.
Well, you know what? If you we've got a truck right down the steps. Yeah, that's great. Well, what an incredible story, Agresa, really.
It's so good to meet you. That's a
Thank
great
you.
story.
So nice to meet you.
Great
Thank you for
story.
having me here.
Yeah,
Thank
well, you know God had a hand in all this, which means
He's got other plans.
He's got plans for you.
you. Thank you.
No doubt about that.
Rick and Bubba.